We'll get started just in a minute. But yeah, let me know in the chat how it makes you feel to go to a networking event. Another few coming in here. Morning, Alex. Hi there, Alex. We're just putting in the chat while we've able to log in how it makes you feel to go to a networking event. Does it give you the fear walking in? What is it about them that you enjoy or you don't like? Or do you go to networking or is it something that's new to you? Andrea, women own events, different mixed ones. Well, everyone knows everyone. That really helps me. I think that's a massive thing with networking, isn't it? Everybody is in the same boat. Okay, we've got about 20 signed up. We're going to record this, so for those that can't come on, we can send it out afterwards and we'll send it to all of you as well. So today is about how to get the most out of networking. Now, my name's Heather. I run Clarity Consultants. I've been in business for, this is my 7th year, but I've been networking within the Glasgow community for 20 years now. And I did a bit of work last summer, and about 90% of my business comes from networking or from contacts I make through networking or those connections that you build up. So for me, networking is a massive, massive part of growing my business. Um, I did a bit of not a deliberate test, but I stopped networking um, for about 6 months, 2 years ago, solely because I was busy. And when those contracts dropped off, I saw a massive drop off in business because I hadn't done the constant market and networking. So anybody I work with now, I always make them commit to going to 2 networking events every single month. Now, I always think that face to face, you're building a rapport and a relationship much easier. However, online networking also has its place and it definitely stretches your geographical reach as well. And I think we all learned that through lockdown, didn't we, when everything was done online, that we all meet people outside of the area we're in. I know for myself, I end up with clients in Orkney and in London who I would never have met out of online networking. So, um, I've just asked everybody to stick in the chat while I do the quick intro. Stick in the chat what you feel about networking. If you had to put it into a sentence or a couple of words, do you network? How do you feel when you walk into a place where you potentially don't know anybody? So by the end of today, in 1 hour, I'm going to try and get through quite a lot. We'll have time at the end for Q&A, but you can put any questions into the chat as well. So we're going to understand the difference between networking for support and networking for sales. We're going to look at crafting a compelling introduction. So I suppose what you probably most know it as, what's your 60-second pitch? And I hate that term, but actually if you can nail what you do really succinctly in about 60 seconds and memorize it to an extent, yes, it needs adapted, it really will help you get across what you do. Now, in my company, I do multiple things. So I have multiple different pitches depending what I'm concentrating on that day. We're going to learn some simple follow-up strategies, identify the best networking opportunities for your business, and hopefully you'll just walk away feeling a bit more confident about networking in general. So the first thing I want to talk about is looking at the difference between networking for support versus sales. The main thing is you should never go into a networking event expecting to walk away with an instant sale. Don't get me wrong, if you've been networking for a while, now and again you do get it and it's an absolute win. But networking is about building relationships that will go on and create sales in the future. Now, I'm not being naive. Let's be honest. We're all going to networking events in order to get more business, but we have to realise that it might not happen there and then on the day. And I think a lot of time when I worked for corporates in the past, what I found was it was the bosses that thought, well, if you're going to this networking, then you should be coming back with sales. So it's getting the understanding that you're going there to build relationships. And if you can do that, it makes it a lot more comfortable because you're not going in trying to think of sales techniques. You're going in effectively trying to make business friends. So if you're going in for support, different things you need to look at. So trust takes time. So if you've just met somebody, it's unlikely going to buy from you. But building that relationship, building trust will lead to future business. So concentrate on getting to know people. Referrals. When I said that 90% of my business comes from networking, about 75 of it is networking referrals, people I've met through networking. So even if you are talking to somebody, and we've all been there, we've walked into a room and we're stuck talking to somebody, you think, you will never ever be my client, you're never going to buy from me. That doesn't really matter. That person could be the person that refers you on to somebody else. And you never know where opportunities come from. So for collaborations, partnerships, introductions, and even, I'm not sure in the group here, I know a lot of you own your own businesses, some might work for others, future opportunities for jobs as well. Um, I have started up a business with two other women who I met in networking, and that second business does almost as well as my main core business, and that was solely through business networking. Now, when I met them, I had no idea how we were going to collaborate, but you know, sometimes something just clicks and you realise these are people to stay in touch with. So it's about being open-minded and not closing the door if you can't see what the opportunity is with the person in front of you. Also, it takes a lot of pressure off. If you concentrate on the connection rather than the sales, you can enjoy it and have more natural conversations, and that will eventually sell better for you. You ought to want to build up a reputation. So when it comes to networking, I've probably tried about 25 different networkings in the Glasgow area and Inverclyde and the surrounding areas. But there's probably about 4 or 5 that I go to consistently. And it's that consistently showing up and being supportive and offering some value without expectation of getting anything back, that people start seeing you as reliable, credible, and somebody that shows up, they get to know your name. So if you go to one networking event and it doesn't work straight away for you, don't instantly cross it off as I don't want to go back there. I have a client who said to me 6 months ago, I'm not really sure about this networking event I'm going to. I'm not sure it's my people. I'm not getting an awful lot back from it. And I was like, you've only been twice, stick with it. She went for 6 months solid once a month, and now it's one of her biggest events that she gets leads from, and high paying leads. But it was uncomfortable for her because it wasn't her usual clientele. Her clientele predominantly was females who owned their own businesses. This was all corporates and professionals. So she found it uncomfortable and she didn't get instant leads. But now the stuff that she's getting back from that is big money. And all it took was to turn up once a month to a 1 hour networking event. So don't give up on things too soon. It's about the long game, and nobody likes being sold to. So one of the biggest things people say to me is, there's nothing worse walking into a room and you're standing there, so potentially there's only a few people in the room if you arrive too early. Or there's a room full of people and you don't know any of them, and you have to go up and start talking to people. Now, there's nothing more horrible than that feeling of going, hi, I'm Heather, nice to meet you, when somebody's in the middle of a conversation. So we'll get to the how do you intercept, how do you deal with difficult people, how do you deal with people who talk too much. But there's some really easy starting points. Andrea, I'll tell you about the networking events in a minute or two. There's some really easy questions, and I've got a worksheet that I'm going to send out to you, but also add into the chat later that has these on it. And you need to think about getting some questions that are comfortable for you to start a conversation. So, what brought you here today? Now, that's a really simple question. It's an easy opener. There's no pressure. It's not a difficult question. And that will start a natural conversation around, well, actually, somebody recommended it, or I saw it on Eventbrite and I thought I'd come along. Or they'll say, well, actually, I'm launching a book or I am just starting out in business and I kind of feel I need to meet more people. So I thought I'd come along. It's such a simple, awkward question to ask that will get you so much information really quickly and lead to a natural conversation. Another one, which I use all the time, is have you been to one of these events before? Instantly, you're going to build a rapport as either they come to networking all the time. Brilliant. You can start talking to them about networking, about what their technique is, what they do, what ones they found interesting, where they found networking groups. And if they go, no, I've never been, I'm really nervous, you can go, don't worry, we all are too. So whatever the answer is to that question, again, starts to lead into shared experiences and easy conversation. What do you enjoy the most about networking? Now, this is looking at the positive side of networking and it invites storytelling as well. And storytelling is a really easy way for people to start conversations as well, to tell you about their experiences of networking. So, what do you enjoy most? Um, and generally, it is within our brains to go to the negative quickly at that sort of protection that would be go, actually, I find them really nerve-wracking. That's where you can be the person who steps up and go, yeah, they totally are, but let me tell you about some good experiences I've had. Now, I would expect in the fact that a lot of you've come on this call, there's a level of apprehension around networking. Everybody has that. You could just step outside your comfort zone and be the person who um, makes other people feel comfortable because you know that they're feeling the way you do. Okay, then you can go on to something a bit more in depth about their work as well to learn more about them. So, are you working on anything exciting at the moment? It's not threatening. It invites them to talk about themselves and about their business. And let's be honest, that's the easiest thing to do. I don't know about anyone else, but in a business environment, I can go and talk to most people. I can talk to them about them and about their businesses. I can talk about my business all day. See, if you put me in a house party with people I don't know, I am rubbish at small chat, absolutely rubbish at it. So for me, business networking is an awful lot easier than personal networking. So start asking them about them and what they do and what they're working on. Dead simple. And people love to talk about it. Suddenly, you've given them an opportunity to talk about something they're totally confident in. Okay. And also, like, you can take that further. How did you get into what you're doing? We all have a story, don't we? I mean, I started my company because I hated my boss and I was doing too many hours and I got burnout and got ill. It's such a common story within a lot of the network I'm in. It gives that common ground to talk about as well. And sometimes you just get a really crazy story that will create conversation. Dead simple one. Do you do much networking? It's relatable and it's great to find out if they are first timers or if you can help them. Or if they're, again, if they are seasoned networkers, then you can get all the information off them. Where are you based? Simple geography chat. Do you know, it's easy to use that to lead into common ground or personal chat or local topics as well. Um, Outside of work, what do you love doing? If you're finding it difficult to build a rapport with somebody, but you are stuck there talking to them because we've all been there, then sorry, Simona, no, we're not seeing slides. I'm just going to talk through this today and record it, and I'll send you all the worksheets and everything out afterwards. You don't have to write everything down. I tend to find when you put slides up, people concentrate more on the slides rather than the chat. So don't worry, I will send it out to you. I don't expect you to write down everything I'm saying. So yeah, if you ask people outside of work, what do you do? We've all been in that situation where let's be honest, okay? I love my accountant. She's one of my best friends now. But so many times I've been stuck talking to accountants thinking, you know, they fit that box of being grey and suited. No, actually, accountants aren't like that now. But as an example, you're like, what can I talk about? I know I don't need an accountant. I know they're not going to buy my services. Let's go on to something personal. And that really helps to start building a rapport. And that's what happened with my accountant. I met her at an event and I was just like, oh, an accountant. And actually, she became a good friend and she became my accountant and she's a client. So if you can't find something in business to chat about, feel free to go on to soft, comfortable topics for personal life as well. And then you go straight into the, is there anyone today you're hoping to meet? Or what, because let's be honest, once you've done the small chat, it is okay to say, to acknowledge the fact we're there to meet people and to make some business. So it shows you're thinking about them as well, because you might know people in that room you can introduce them to. You might end up talking to someone else and go, ah, Andrea over there was looking to speak to an accountant. Let me introduce you. And suddenly you become the person in the room that's really, helpful and given your time, and you'd be remembered for that. So if you all have a bit of paper, or you can do it in the chat, I just want you to write down 2 questions that you would feel comfortable asking. Because when we go into a networking event, to have 2 questions that you are really comfortable asking, ready and in your armory, means it doesn't matter who you go and talk to. You can reel out your 2 questions and you have started a conversation. Other things to have as well is one example of support that you need. So if somebody says to you, and it is a common networking question, what is it you're looking for? What do you need support on? Have an answer to that. So write that one down as well. And then if you're looking for sales, who is it you want to be connected with? So that's 4 things I want you to write down. Either do it just now or after the call, but have those 4 pieces of information ready when you go to any networking event. 2 questions you're comfortable asking people, what you need support on, and who is it you want to meet? Who is it that will be your ideal clientele in that room? Now, that might be a certain geographical area that somebody's within. It could be a job title. It could be an industry. It could be a specific company. One of the networking events I used to go to, they're like, what companies is it that you want to work with? I'll give you a wee second to do that. While you do that, I'm just going to upload a document for you, which will be useful for the next section. Okay, so in the chat, uploading at the moment is a networking worksheet. Now, we're not going to go through all of this today, but you can take it away and work on it at your leisure. However, in there is a section about your 60-second pitch. Now, the sales line for this is learn how to introduce yourself in a way that sparks interest. But let's be honest, we're trying to get what we do in 60 seconds. So within your 60-second pitch, and I did a networking event recently, and I was telling Karen before you guys come on that it was a full thing like this, but it was for 2 hours. And I was just coming to speak at it for somebody else. And instead of having 20, 30 people in the room, I had 2 people. So we spent an awful long time working on this 60-second pitch. But it was brilliant because we practiced it over and over again and we nailed it down. And it took about an hour of the time getting that 60-second pitch right. So this is something you really want to nail down. Now, I have got, like I said, 2 different pitches. I do social media management as a side part of the company. My main part is doing business growth plans with clients to help them grow in a way that suits them. So when I go into a networking event, I have to decide in advance who is it I am talking to today, because it's too confusing to pitch all the different hats that I wear, because I have other companies as well. So I can't go in and do everything. Everyone's just like, you're too much. I hear that a lot. So you need to pick what you're going to talk about. So when you're doing this exercise, think of the one main thing that you might want to talk at a networking event, prep your pitch, and then you go back and do it again for multiple things. And once you're comfortable with the different pitches you have for the different parts of your company, then what you can do is see, well, how do I nail this down if I wanted to sort of pinpoint the headlines for different things? So here are the 4 main things that you want to have in this pitch. Okay. Who are you? Obviously, there's your name. Your role is important. Now, I always think of LinkedIn here. Now, there's a million different things in LinkedIn you could fill in. But what do we all look at? Your name in that first headline. So introduce yourself, your role, and where are you based? So what geographical area do you want to work? Now, if I say I'm based in Glasgow, people think, oh, she works in Glasgow. So I would say I work in Glasgow, but I have clients all around the UK. So be specific. If you say, I grew up in a village, so if I said, oh, I'm from Tinault, people are like, where? We don't know that. No interest. You're not within our geographical area, and people will just switch off if they don't understand it. So when you're talking about where you're from, where do you work? Where do you want clients from? Be specific about it. The next thing is, what is it you do? So this is not just saying, I write business growth maps for people. Share your experience and how does it benefit the customer? Okay, so I write business plans for customers that are based around them and how they work, because normal business plans that are just tick box exercise don't work for everybody. You have to learn about an individual person's personality and then build a growth plan around them so that they will actually be able to deliver it. So the benefit, rather than just say, a business plan sounds boring, but actually describing that it's about the person and how it will benefit them because it's tailored to them really starts to buy people in and get a bit more interested. Why does it matter? Your third thing is, why does it matter? Why should they buy from you? Now, not because, don't start listing your credentials here, but what is the benefit? What is the benefit to them? So, if you're doing your social media, a massive easy thing to do is think of the pain points people have. What is it they struggle with? So you can build a rapport with them. This is what you want to do. Why does it matter to them? What are the benefits? And in the end of it, you want to add a question or a call to action or something that they can do to invite further conversation. Because how many times have you been in an event and someone goes, hi, I'm so-and-so, I do this is where I'm based, blah, 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 blah. Yep, that's me. And you just finish with like, yeah, I think that's it. I think I've said everything. Actually, invite a bit of conversation or a bit of thought. Leave them with something that's not just a, yeah, I'm done now. So I want to give you an example, okay, of a really good short pitch, okay? And this is a made-up person. So, hi, I'm Alex, a digital marketing consultant based in Glasgow. I specialise in helping small businesses grow their online presence. I work with companies to create tailored strategies that drive engagement and boost sales. I'm always looking to connect with business owners interested in taking their marketing to the next level. What's been your biggest challenge you've had in marketing recently? So it's short, it's sharp, it's really clear. We know what they do, we know where they are, we know who they're helping, we know a bit more detail as to how they help and why they help. And then they're inviting conversation. So you might not know that you need a digital marketer, but that's not what they're asking you. They're asking you, in marketing in general, what is the biggest issue or problem that you're dealing with? They're inviting conversation that they may be able to see how they can help. And I think this is a massive thing we have to realize as well. When we're talking to somebody, we don't know how they can help us. All we know is their job title at that point. So by asking questions, it'll allow you to then start really digging into what people need and if you can help them. So take a few minutes to think about your answers for any of the above, those 4 different points. Now, if you have any questions, about it, or you're struggling with any of those points, or you're not sure, then stick your questions in the chat and we'll go through all the questions at the end. Okay, so while you guys are thinking about that, I'm just going to throw out a wee extra thing here that we hadn't advertised we're going to talk about today, but I think it's really important because it's the thing that we all struggle with most. Handling some of the common issues we come across in networking. So for instance, breaking into a group conversation whenever you've come in a bit later to the networking event and everyone's already in little groups talking and you have to interrupt. So a good thing to do, and not in a freaky way, but just stand near a group and try and pick up on what they're talking about. And then go, hi, I overheard you discussing whatever the topic is. Can I join in? Or I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'd love to meet as many people as possible I can before the speaker starts, or before the speed networking starts, or the event starts. These are just really comfortable ways to get into a conversation. I overheard you talking. Can I join in? Sorry to interrupt, but I'd really like to speak to as many people as possible before the talking starts. We also have people who we find intimidating. It might be because they're a big name. It could be because you really admire them, so they make you nervous. We all have that with famous people, don't we? I could never talk to a famous person. I just couldn't. I wouldn't know what to say to them. But if there's someone that you know is going to be there, yep, Alex, we'll come to that one. If there's someone you know that's going to be there, you can research them beforehand and know their background, their interests, or their achievements. Now, the level of, and I'd be really interested to know actually, who does their homework before going to networking events? Who asks the organizer for a guest list or an indication of who's going to be there? Um, who goes when they know who's going? Do you connect with them on LinkedIn in advance? If I get a guest list, I go through and connect with them all on LinkedIn so I can see who's going to be there, so I can see what they do. And at least then I have some pinpoint of people I want to talk to. So you can do a bit of research in advance. You can also use compliments or common ground to start conversation. Okay. Also, if somebody is much higher up in their field than you are, and that's why I find them intimidating, you can ask them for advice. What advice would you give for someone looking to do X, Y, or Z? Or I'm looking to do X, Y, or Z. What advice could you give me? Again, it's getting them to talk about something they're comfortable with. They will appreciate it as much as you. A lot of people, no matter how successful they are, still might be introverted and not find these situations comfortable. And stay confident, because remember, they are just human too. I don't really like the saying, imagine somebody's naked in the crowd, and, because that doesn't help me. Like, that's just, that wouldn't help me. But they are human. Everybody's human. Everyone started somewhere. And then handling someone who talks too much. So I know, Alex, you've asked for someone who's closed to conversation. But if somebody talks too much, that can equally be difficult because you can't actually get them to stop. So you can redirect. So that's really interesting. What do you think? And address it to somebody else that's in the group. So take it away. You're not being rude. You've said what they've said is interesting, but you're inviting someone else to come in and talk. Now, Alex, this could be used in the same way if somebody's closed to conversation. Get them within a group and then invite them to comment on the conversation that's there. We've all been in a group where there's there's people that talk too much and there's people that's too quiet and don't get involved. Ask them their opinion on it. It might be a short answer, but you're the one bringing them in. They might just be horrendously shy and really finding it difficult. So help them, And I think those opening questions as well. What do you do? What brought you here? Do you do much networking? All these questions, you might only get one-word answers, but at least you're creating the conversation. You're giving them an invitation to talk about something that they are comfortable with, or as comfortable as they can be. If you start asking them about personal things, it's probably too far for those types of people. But you have to start. You have to be the one that's asking the questions with people that are closed off to conversation. You are also at a networking event. It is okay to leave that person. It is okay. And that's the next bit we're going to come on to. So, um, for those people that talk too much as well, like me, interject politely. I'd love to hear more about such and such. Okay? So you're not, killing their conversation, but you're maybe inviting it to move on a little bit. And that's almost where you can add in, what do you think, to someone else that's there. You can also just end the conversation gracefully, either when they talk too much or they don't talk at all. It's been great chatting to you, but I'd like to go and connect with a few other people before the event ends. I have used this all the time, right? And I don't like, see, when people say it to me, I don't think that's rude. I think, oh, hats off to them. They are making the most of this event. They're going to go and talk to other people. Of course, there's a little bit of that imposter syndrome going, is my chat really that boring that they want to move on? But equally, we're there to meet people. It's okay to say, it's been brilliant talking to you, but I want to meet lots of people while I'm here, and before the event ends, we'll catch up later. And that ties in nicely to ending a conversation in a nice, graceful way as well. It's been great chatting to you. I'd love to mingle with a few more people. Let's connect soon. And if you actually think that you do want to connect with them, you can take a business card or give them a business card. Or can we follow up next week? So you might not contact them, or you might contact them, but you are ending it in a polite way. If you just say, all right, that's great, cheers, bye, and you walk off, that comes across as rude. If you take a business card and give a business card, then at least that way you're inviting further conversation, but it lets you move on. Okay, follow-up strategies. How many people actually take time after a networking event to follow up? Now, when I work with my clients one-to-one, most of them don't do this. Now and again, I get a wee nugget and somebody's like, yep, always put time in my diary after a networking event. It's really important. I don't know if you've been to exhibitions or big conferences and you meet all these people, or you go around loads of stands, and then afterwards, if you don't do the follow-up, you are probably one of 1,000 people. Now, no matter how great a conversation you've had with someone at a networking event, if you don't follow up with them, you might not see them again. It might come to nothing. And like I said, some of the opportunities I've had in business has been just from that, a little spark that you think, I'm going to follow up on that and see where it goes. So I always recommend sending a thank you message within 24 to 48 hours. Now, I actually have a generic one that I keep saved in my drafts, and I adapt it to suit. So it says, it was great to meet you today. And then put something specific, something about a conversation that you had that's memorable. Now, I don't know if anyone else does this, but I take business cards and I make notes on the business card as to a conversation I've had with that person, or something that they want or need, or something that I want to ask them or follow up with them. Or it could just be their kids got, I don't know, a competition this weekend. Write something on their business card that reminds you of what that little personal conversation is, a one-liner that you can put into an email. Instantly, they're like, they remember. They cared enough to remember. My memory's rubbish, absolutely rubbish. I have to write it down, but people think that my memory's good because I make the effort to do it. I also take a pad of paper with me everywhere, and particularly like speed networking, I'll make notes and stuff as well so that I can always remember who somebody is. Okay, the next one is connecting LinkedIn with a personal note. So I don't know if you guys know, but if you have the LinkedIn app on your phone, at the top in the search bar, if you click into that, you see almost a little grey QR code. If you press that, it'll give you a QR code others can scan to connect your LinkedIn. And there's also a QR code for your LinkedIn that people can connect with you. So that's a really nice conversation starter and a really nice way to connect with people as well. If you don't have business cards, it's a good way of getting somebody's contact details or staying in touch with them as well. Yes, Mona, it can be a job, and I think I have a client who does a lot of big events in London, and she's not very good at the follow-up. And I made her do it one day, and it took her an hour. I made her do the follow-up, and it was the most successful event that she'd had out of the years of events she had. So it can be really overwhelming. Um, to an extent, it can be as overwhelming and as much work as the actual event itself. But I think that's where if you have a nice, simple um, email ready to go, you're not trying to think of it all the time. Now, as well as my email, I'm putting in a personal note. If I have a, a delegate list and there's people on there I didn't get to meet, I have a more generic one that says, so I didn't get to meet you at the event today. I just wanted to give you some information about what I do and a link to your website. So it can be overwhelming, but you have to make it as simple as possible. Really, as much as an event might have 30, 40, 100 people, realistically, there's only going to be a handful of people that you really want to follow up with a personal level, with something that you remember. And the rest of it can be more generic. And it's not that they don't matter, but you don't know what it'll bring. So having that email there in order to send out to them, it can make it a 5-minute job. Okay, so and then set a wee reminder as well for 2 to 4 weeks' time, whatever you're most comfortable with. Um, Also, sometimes following up implies scheduling appointments with these people, hoping they become useful appointments and our daily job to do. Yes. Do you know what? Absolutely not. See, for me, I don't ask anything of them. I ask nothing of somebody in a follow-up at all. I'm just making sure they have my contact details. So you don't have to schedule an appointment. It may or may not come to anything. And that's why make it as easy as possible. As easy as possible, a set email, you send it out, great to connect with you, just want to touch base um, with you because of XYZ, or I didn't get to talk to you, but just touching base, here's what I do. There's no expectation at all from those ones that are not personal. And I think it's very rare we'd walk away from an event with more than 2 or 3 people that we think, I really want to follow up with them because of X, Y, or Z. And they're the ones that you would then follow up with. I wouldn't bother following up with the people that I didn't have something specific to chat to them about. So, like Alex says, you need to prioritise who you want to follow up with. And if this is something you find uncomfortable, start with only following up with those 2 or 3 people or those small amount that you want to prioritize. You don't have to do everybody, but if you've made a connection that you think is useful one way or another, make sure at least they're the ones that do it, and have that email ready that you can adapt and personalize, and it will save you time. It'll make it less of a chore, and then just put a wee reminder in your diary for 2 to 4 weeks, whatever you think is appropriate based on the conversation you've had, to follow up with. But don't worry, it is everybody's Achilles heel. Yes, Alex, email is always best for me. I think that's the generation we're in now, though, isn't it? That written conversation, be it a WhatsApp, an email, a LinkedIn message. Um, I I don't like personally talking on the phone, but I'll always reply to an email because I love to get my emails done by the end of the day. Um, However, if somebody wants to have a more in-depth chat, I will. It's confirmed I'm old. If somebody wants to have a more in-depth chat, I will always get on a Zoom call or on a phone call with them. Do ever use voice notes? I only use voice notes for people I've already built a rapport with. So people with my clients, I always send voice notes once we're already clients and we're talking. I think if you're going to use voice notes, just be aware people might not listen to them immediately, um, because you have to be in the right place, don't you? Okay, identifying the best networking. So I think, Andrew, this comes back to you a bit as well. So if we look first of all at face-to-face versus um, online networking. For me, face-to-face will always be the easiest way to build a proper relationship. So for instance, you guys are all on here to learn today. Hopefully you'll take something useful, a few nuggets away from it. But everyone's sitting with their cameras off. And that's okay. Do you know what? You're here to learn, to write. You might be listening to this while you're doing your work. It's absolutely fine. But it doesn't build the same rapport. If we were all sitting in a room together, I would be able to read your expressions in the room. I'd be able to see who's interested, who's listening, who's not listening. I'd be able to pick up on, okay, I can see these people do that and these people like that. And it's much easier to build that conversation and rapport in a room. There's also little things that I do. Like, see if you are talking to someone, you're like, I just need to get away. I only ever fill my coffee cup halfway up. So I go, I'm just going to go get a refill of coffee. You can't do that online. However, if you are online, you get that bigger network. There tends to be more people are available to come online. There's a bigger geographical area. So if you don't know whether face-to-face or online is going to work for you, try both. And most networking companies have both options, face-to-face and online. If you're struggling for time to get somewhere, online might be a good one too. So you need to work out what works best for you. I tend to do a mixture. And not all events are equal. Not all events have your clientele. So it's always worthwhile when you find different networking events, contact the organizer. They would love you to contact them and ask questions rather than go, I'm not sure, so I'm not going. So contact them, say, this is what I do. Do you have the right sort of people there? This is my clientele. Generally, they will be honest with you. Most organisers are not looking just for ticket sales through the door. They generally want to help people. Networking events is not something you're going to organise if you don't care about that genuine connection. Because if you come and you've lied to them, or they come and it's not the right people, you're not going to go back. And we all know repeat business is the easiest business. So contact the organisers and ask them, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I need. Either uncomfortable with networking or it's just the right people. Ask them. I've run hundreds of networking events over the last 20 years, and I love people contact me because I'll have a wee chat with them, see what they need, see what they want. I'll go, well, actually, in this location, that's the right clientele, but don't bother going here. That's not your people. Networking events, where to find them. Eventbrite is probably your best place. Eventbrite has hundreds of them. Be specific in your filters. Where is it? Where are your clientele? There's a lot of networking events online that are UK-wide or worldwide. If that's not your audience, don't bother. Narrow it down to a geographical area. And that's the same with face-to-face. Obviously, that narrows it down because it's only a certain distance that you can travel. I quite often, if I'm going for a meeting in Inverness or Edinburgh, will have a look and see if there's networking events in those areas while I'm there, just to try and expand that network a little bit further. So Eventbrite's a great one. Also, ask people as well. I have learned about most networking events by asking people. And I keep a little list and I can send it out to you afterwards. So I'm based in Glasgow, so the ones I tend to go to are within this area. I also tend to go to a lot that are female orientated because that tends to be mainly my clientele. But I'll do about 70% of female networking and 30% of mixed networking because it's not solely females, it just happens to be who buys from me. So I find the ones I'm comfortable with and I find ones that have the clientele I want. You will not know this exactly until you've been to them. There's a lot of trial and error, like there is in a lot of marketing. And Joe, you've asked free or paid for. It's a good question. I tend to find that the paid for ones, you will get more people at them and you will get more people who are who are really there to try and to grow their businesses. Because if you've got skin in the game, if you've invested money, you are naturally going to turn up. Yeah, you'll get a bit of drop off, but an awful lot less than the free ones. But again, trial and error. Trial and error with networking events. There's no right or wrong answer. You know what it's like. Let's put a social media post out. One week it does amazing. The next week it does rubbish. It's the same post. Trial and see which ones work for you. I do tend to find if you go to a paid networking event, there's also a lot more pressure and responsibility on the organizer to deliver a really good event because somebody's paid for it. So there is that there as well. Do you feel LinkedIn Premium is beneficial? Depends how you're using it, Alex. To be honest, I have it because I've always had it. If you are going to be connecting regularly with people that you do not know and you want to message them, then premium's good for that because it gives you extra messages. It also gives you some extra insights and analytics if that's of interest to you. Most people use it and LinkedIn to connect with people, and once they're connected, they'll see their posts, they'll engage, they'll message them then. If that's what you're doing, then you don't need the premium version. There's no benefit to you. But if you want to, be connecting with multiple people that you don't know and drop the messages and build that sort of relationship with them, then the premium does give you that opportunity to do that. So it's a difficult one. Depends what you're doing with it. I don't think I get any benefit from being on premium, but I've been on it since the start for about 20 years and it's dead cheap. So I just leave it as it is because now and again I do need it, but it is quite rare. Okay. I love a networking event that has a real structure to it as well. So I like one that has speed networking or that has a speaker or that has a level of workshop to it because it gives you that conversation as well. Are you looking forward to speaking? Have you been to this training before? Have you tried speed networking before? It's always nice to have a structure. Now, I never did speed dating, but I love speed networking. I think it's a brilliant way to get through lots of people really quickly. And maybe that's the introvert in me of having to speak to random people, but it's a really brilliant way to get through people. If you've not tried it, give it a go. And a lot of people, even your big corporate networkings, will do speed networking now. So I like something with a bit of structure because for me, walking into a room for an hour and a half, and all you're doing is trying to create conversation with people for that length of time, I find it difficult. I find it highly exhausting. So if I think, okay, I've got a structure, I know that I have this time to talk, I'm going to learn this, or I'm going to hear from these people, or I'm going to be sort of managed through the networking, I much prefer that because I find it more productive for me. It also gives you something to talk about. Have you heard the speaker before? After, what did you learn from that? Did you like the speaker? It gives you other conversation as well. Okay, so I'm on time. Sometimes I can talk too much. So remember, networking is about building relationships. Don't go in expecting a sale. Build relationships, have all your questions, your asks, how you can help people, have all of that ready. Take time and get your pitch right. It feels a really uncomfortable thing to do. And so the last time I did this course, actually, somebody said to me, feels like a sales pitch. If it feels like a sales pitch, you're doing it wrong. All you're doing is becoming confident in telling people what you do so that when somebody asks you what you do, you don't come out with a sales pitch. You come out with a practiced, comfortable description of what you do. If it feels uncomfortable, keep working on it until it feels like something you would naturally say. I don't know if anyone uses AI, right? I love AI, but if you go put into AI, this is what I do. Here's my LinkedIn. Here's my website. I want to do a 60-second pitch. Here's the 4 things I want to cover. And it will come up with something and it'll be good, but it'll sound like a sales pitch. But if you don't know where to start, do that, take it, and then go, how would I say that sentence? How would I say that? That's too uncomfortable, but I get what they're getting at. How would I adapt that? So if you don't know where to start, do get somebody else to write it for you and you start to nail it down into how you would say it. All else fails, ask other people about themselves, help other people. It will come back to you. Like I said, I've been networking for 20 years in Glasgow and if I stopped networking, I don't think my business would exist. I don't love it. I go to at least one a week. Never loved it. Can't imagine at this stage I'm going to. But I do think it's beneficial. I know it's beneficial. It's worth doing. You have to find the right ones that suit you. You have to give them time, and work out why you like something, why you don't like something, and then find more. Also, the other people you meet at networking events will advise other events that you might want to go to. Um, yeah, and I suppose a couple of wee hints. All else fails, like I say, the half coffee cup. Great chat to you. I'm going to go and get a top up my coffee before the next speaker or whatever. If you just need to get away or it's overwhelming and you need to take a few moments, have a toilet break. Don't hide in the toilet. Just take a moment, okay? And then if you can, get a guest list in advance to at least allow you to pinpoint some people you'd like to talk to, because you can always ask the organizer, can you introduce me to this person? Okay, so what I will do is hopefully you've all got that worksheet that's on there. A lot of the stuff is on it. I will also send you notes afterwards just of some of the stuff we've gone through and some of the questions. Any more questions, you can take yourself off mute or stick them in the chat just now. We've got a few minutes. And if you've booked via Viridor, you will get a feedback questionnaire. Please feel free to be as honest as you like. I will also send out my contact details with anything else you want to ask after this. Let me know. If you want to ask about networking events, you're thinking of going to something and you don't know what it's like, I will either have been or somebody I know will have been, no doubt, and I can tell you a bit more about it. And I'll send out the list of networking events in the area as well. But yeah, feel free to ask questions. If not, thank you so much for sitting and listening to me for an hour, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Thanks, Claire. Thanks, Laura and Alex.